in March of this year, I came across something that changed my life. It's caused me to be busier than ever. Hey, I'm in business. I'm 65 years old, have a huge family, but we're going to get right to business this morning. I'm with a company that next week's going to have a new name. And Uncle Dan, I'm going to ask you to speak in a minute and tell us that new name, just a little bit about it. And we're going to march forward. We've got a lot going on with a company called Legacy. And I'm going to leave it at that just for a minute. Legacy. Well, when I came into this, my sponsor who's in the room this morning, Roger 2, that's TEW2, uh, had been involved with some other companies and came across a gentleman who was working with this company for FICA tips tax relief. And I looked at it and I found out it was a fairly new, in fact, it was so new, it was brand new back at the beginning of the year. So this is a new endeavor. This is being upgraded constantly, and we're going to have a huge upgrade next week. And so, Uncle Dan, if you will, we had a corporate meeting yesterday, an executive, I call it a business advisor or a roundtable with the owners and Alex Scar, our CTO, who actually sponsored into this company. And we learned some things. So rather than I would love for my sponsor, that's Uncle Dan, something like that. I don't think it's that far up, but Uncle Dan, if you will tell us a little bit about what's going to happen. I will go into the details after you do this and explain the FICA tax tips program.
Okay, and Danna's on here as well. I see
Oh,
down there
yeah.
at the bottom. So if you want to unmute
Okay.
Danna,
Okay.
FICA Tips Tax Program is it's a program that it's not new. It's been around for several years. The I guess CEO or owner, Stefan Brewer, who's a tax attorney, he has been using that program to help his clients who were in the restaurant industry. He's been in business for over 30 years. And of course, he's also a CPA. And so as a result, his other partner, Stan Shaw, had been pushing him to make this an affiliate program versus just doing it for his clients. So that's when you say it's new. The tax credit is not new, but the affiliate program for it is relatively new. And all this came because of the big beautiful bill that opened up the beauty industry. This all stems from that. Now, and why I say that is because a lot of the marketing companies did not really pay attention to this particular credit. And so in regards to the restaurant industry. And so basically, that's when you start seeing these affiliate platforms pop up. So just so you guys will understand, what happens is at a restaurant, if you're a restaurant owner, everybody has to pay the 7.65 FICA, which is the Medicare and the Social Security. And the tip portion of that FICA, only the tip portion. So, you walk into a restaurant, you pay your $100 bill, you tip $20, 20%. That portion in between there, the payroll companies that are affiliated with that restaurant, what they automatically do is they take what they've been doing, and that's probably about 80% of them, is taking that FICA and just sending it to the Internal Revenue Service. And the big beautiful bill and really brought it to light that they're not supposed to do that. And so as a result, these restaurants have in some cases hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that is just sitting there. And so what we do is we basically most of us here are consultants, and we basically kind of, I just say educate, because we're not really selling anything. We just educate, restaurant owners. Hey, you may be, leaving $100,000 or more on the table. It could be $50,000. We don't know, because we're trying to educate you that this money is there. It's your money, and if you'd like to learn how much that's there, we have a calculator that I can ask you 3 questions or 4 questions, and once I do that, the calculator will give you an estimate of how much you have coming back, and is that something you might be interested in? And sure, most of the people say sure. I said it only takes 1 minute to find out, and then once we do that, what we like to do is just I tell them everyone just be quiet. Once they see how much the refund might be, and this is for 1 year right here, what you're seeing on this calculator, the way the legislation was written by Congress, they're able to recapture 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. So, if the number is 27,000, and they haven't taken it yet, and then, like I said, about 80% of the restaurants don't take it because CPAs are great at saving people, restaurant owners or businesses money, from taxes. But when it comes to tax credit refund programs, that's not their expertise. Most of them do not do it. And the reason is it's a lot of work. It's a heck of a lot of work. And most of them don't, you do what you do for many, many years. You don't want to get sidetracked because all of a sudden you have to learn about it. This is not easy, unless you're, as a tax professional, you got to start the learning process. So a lot of them don't want to do it. Some of them do, but the majority don't. So basically, this is what she's showing here on the screen are different employees. I see you're changing the amount of employees. You're saying the minimum or the federal maximum per minimum wage is $5.15. Certain states, it's like Texas, I think, and Georgia is $2.13. So basically, once we ask these 4 questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, what's the weekly tips per employee? The higher that number, the higher, you put 1,500 in and see what happens. The higher the average weekly tips per employee is, the higher amount that they're going to get back. So, you got a steak restaurant versus an IHOP. IHOP, probably the average is, $300-400. You got a steak restaurant. We run across the highest one we've ever seen is one that it was $6,000 a week. But unfortunately for us, he was already getting the credit. If you got a very high level CPA that, if you got a more of a chain of corporation, they're probably getting it. It's just generally the solo owner of a restaurant that, has I call it sort of like an old school CPA that just stays in his lane. Most likely they haven't taken it. And then that's where we come in. So that's a 6-7 minute overview of that particular program.
Well, thank you, Uncle Dan. That was a great overview. So if you don't know much about it yet, we'll make sure that you have your sponsor, the person who invited you, to take a look at this to learn the details. But as Uncle Dan said, this has been around since 1993. So it's not new. It's not going away. And 80 to 85% of restaurant owners, they think in some cases they're getting it, but most of them are not. So it's our job to help them discover that they have money on the table. And what you were seeing was, again, per year. So if it's $25,000 per year, that's going to be times 3 to 4 years, 4 years of recovery. So it's about, like you said, 100,000, 101,000 is the average refund. Oh, pardon my language. It's kind of a refund, but it's their money, dollar for dollar, money they paid in, just like Uncle Dan said, of 7.65%. That's Medicare and Social Security. So this is an exciting time to be involved with a tax attorney, a man who's had tax offices since 1997. He has offices all around the country. He did 20 years in the Air Force, and then exiting the Air Force, he came out and bought his first accounting office and has grown up to be the 4th largest specialized tax attorney in the country. And he's known as the tax man. So we're going to talk about a transition real quick. Uncle Dan, I know you got to go really, really soon, but give us a couple minutes, if you will, about the new name. Can you do that?
You know what? I just still call it legacy. When they did it, I looked at the logo and I think it's Legacy Partners. I think is what they're rebranding. I didn't even write it down. I did. I was like, okay. It takes a few times for me to see stuff, and the reason they're doing that. So those of you that are new, this is an affiliate platform. So what they do, we have a lot of things, or a lot of different tax credit refunds that the businesses in general do not know about. And because who's got time to go through 8 to 10,000 tax credits in the IRS codes? And so as a result, what we're doing is we're talking about this one, the new one that was going to, we're going to have a webinar on Tuesday, is the Trump tax, the tariffs refund program. Now they're just bringing that. There's a major company that is, I call it like the hub, TRA, and they are, as a hub, what they basically do is they have all the compliance, all of the technology. They're the same people that built HubSpot. And so as a result, what we basically do is we are like their sales team. And, $166 billion is a lot of money. And all of these companies are, anybody that does import, any company or any related company that has that paid those tariffs, the Supreme Court came back and said that is illegal. So now the government has to refund that. And so as a result, people or companies actually have been trying to do it on their own. Problem being, it's very, very complicated, and you don't know if you don't really have never done it before. The application process is very daunting, and so people are companies are going through it, even with their financial people. Last month, over 80,000 applications were rejected. So that's where we come in, because our system or TRA system is it's built to it's got AI related. It's built to make sure that those tariff applications go through. So why would somebody want to do it with us versus do it on their own? Because we charge a 20% recovery on those. The reason why they would want to do it with us, first of all, is we're going to make sure it goes through. Because if you don't know what you're doing, it's not going to go through. And it's a lot of money that's sitting on the table. But the second thing is, let's assume you did 100% of the things correctly. If you did that, then guess what? Great, you're going to get your refund. The average tariff refund, from what I'm hearing, is per company is between $1 million and $3 million is the average on what they paid. And so as a result of that money going in there, the government says, great, you qualified, we're going to get you your money. There's only one kicker. It's going to be 12 to 18 months before we finish processing and you get your check. Well, as a business owner, who wants to wait 12 to 18 months, or it could be longer? So guess what? With TRA, we have a hedge fund that has $3 billion sitting there, or more actually, that's sitting there that will fund this this tariff refund. So by going through us, you're able to access or get your refund between 30 and 45 days. So I know, as a business owner, I've been in different things before, and I had to wait for my money. If I had to pay it, 20%, I'd pay 20% in a minute. If you're talking, just say, hey, if it was 50,000, hey, take the 20%, just give me my money next month. I'll take it. That's fine. I have no problem with that. So that's sort of like the 5-minute overview. I don't have a lot of details. I've been, this is brand new to us, but if you guys are new on here, you kind of stumbled on something that, this is not, all the things we're talking about is not really known to the general public. And just to mention, There's research and development tax credits we have access to. Any company that's do any type of innovation, creative process within their company, and all tech companies are eligible. They don't know about it. That's research and development tax credits. We have we have the one like a payroll tax credit, where people there are companies out there that have no insurance for their employees. Well, through the Affordable Care Act, there's a program that's called Cafeteria 125. That particular program will give the employees preventable health benefits, which you'll be able to go to the urgent care. You'll be able to get, if you need help with mental health, just like a lot of prescriptions are free, things like that. And as a result, the owner, for providing these services allowing the employees to get this, he's going to save about $700 per year per employee. So you got a company with 100 employees, he's going to save about $70,000 a year on his payroll taxes. They don't know about this, okay? And we got more. We have 2 or 3 others. I don't want to go too deep. So, that's just a quick, if you're not familiar with this industry, and it's not a huge industry, so we have our hands on something. It's just, there are other companies out there doing it, Rodney. But who you work with probably is the most important thing. Rodney's not, a spring chicken. I'm 69 years old. Neither am I. It's like, golly, there's so many programs and companies out there, but there's so many dang scammers, and you don't know who the heck to trust out there. And I do my due diligence on any program I'm with. And I actually know these guys, so I didn't have to do a whole lot of due diligence, because I know that they're full of integrity and full of licenses and everything else. They got more to risk than this on doing anything like this than I do. So pretty much that's what I know, Rodney.
Well, I appreciate it, Uncle Dan. I'm going to say just a couple more things about this, and we're going to transition. If you don't have a link, if you didn't get a link as a registered consultant with Legacy, I've got a link to send you. It's a generic link. Everybody gets the same link. Everybody's going to be placed under the person who brought them in naturally. They're going to API it over, as what I understand. So they're going to move everybody. But for right now, we're registering under Mr. Brewer himself, Stephen Brewer.
Yeah, and what? Yeah, I was going to say, if you're not part of this already, then you don't complete that link. They can listen. I assume that they can just listen in, Rodney. They can do it afterwards.
No, I'm just going to email the people that I've registered. I'm not going to put it in the room.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
That way, yeah. So you'll get links to register for whatever doorway you want to come into if you're not registered. But I'm going to go over some more about very little about the entire program, and we're going to do a Q&A for a few minutes, and we'll be done. But for now, I'm going to pause. Thank you, Uncle Dan, for being here. I'm going to mark this as a bookmark for recordings and stop this one. Any closing comments?
No, that was great. Just, hey, man, thanks for the people that have never seen this before. Thanks for joining us. I have another scheduled meeting that I have to be on. So I got to exit stage left. If you guys used to watch cartoons, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, back in the day. Anyway, you guys all have a great day. I have to go, and we'll chat later.
Cheers, Uncle Dan. Appreciate you.
All right.